Hello, my name is Brianna Sinclair, and if you're watching this, this is my 52nd week on HRT. If you'd like to support my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. To show me your support, I would truly appreciate it. With that being said, let's get right into the video. As I said before, this is my 52nd week. Quick measurements update. My hips are 34.25, bust is 36.75, and my waist is 24.75 still. So there's no change from last week to this week, which is actually kind of fine. It's just kind of amazing that I made it even this far, to be honest with you. So my emotional state is, for the most part, I think it's relatively stable. I do get considerably sadder, considerably easier, and that is probably like the one emotion that I have like little to no control over, and usually I just have to deal with it. But I consider myself in pretty good like mental standing as far as like my emotional state goes. Hair reduction and growth. I actually haven't really noticed anything in a while, but sorry, I've got like some interest. I was doing some stuff earlier, and now I've got an interesting mark on my arm. But yes, over the course of my entire transition, I've noticed my hair growth consistently decrease as time went on. At least relatively, it decreased like very quickly at first, and then it kind of teetered off, and I haven't noticed any real differences in a hot minute. But that doesn't mean that I'm not like actually enjoying the differences I'm not noticing. It might just be that like the change is too small for me to notice. Breast growth. My breasts are still very much hurting and still growing. And I attribute that to like the pain as like a growing pain. They are very sensitive, and for me it's not pleasurable. I know some people like they love like the sensitivity. Mine is like, as if it's touched, it's pain. That's not always a great thing. But they are getting bigger. I at least feel it. I notice I'm filling my bra and stuff out a little bit more. And it seems like my measurements aren't really reflecting that, and they're not, but I think that the reason why is they're dropping a little bit, kind of like after a breast augmentation, how they initially, like, you just have this implant that's very high up, and then it drops into a more natural look. So I think that's kind of what I'm noticing, except there's not really like a high up, it's just a consistent, like, as it grows it drops, as it grows it drops. So it's like a consistent like circumference, because my rib cage is also like decreasing. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I'm actually kind of like amazed, because I wore this specific outfit because this is the very outfit that I wore in my very first video, to kind of show and attribute the changes that have happened over the course of 365 days in my transition. And I've recorded everything for every week for a whole year, and this is my 1-year video. At this point, I would qualify for FFS in my surgery if I wasn't getting fired. And it's a little sad and disappointing, but it is what it is. And I'm dealing with it. But this does give me the chance to kind of pick the doctors I want to, because the doctors I initially had access to were, excuse me, I had to be like in network, and for the type of insurance that I have, it's not always great to go in network. I've left dental appointments where they just kind of outsourced me to someone in network, and my teeth would come back bleeding, all of them. It would be very rough, and that's usually my experience with out of network or in network providers. Sorry. But this way, I can start going to like the doctors I would like to. Initially, I got an appointment with a Dr. Toby Meyer, and I was gonna see if my insurance would work through his facility. But since I'm getting fired, it really doesn't matter. So I think I'm gonna go to Dr. Peter Raphael. In my opinion, he's a more superior doctor who specializes in a more natural look, which for me, I think is important. I don't want people to know that I'm transgender unless I tell them. Granted, my voice gives it away, so there's that, but I would rather that be a secret between like me, my friends, and my partners. Fat redistribution in this one. Over the course of my entire transition, I've noticed some fat redistribution, mostly in my face is what I've noticed, but my measurements do reflect that. My hips are, there is a little bit of fat being deposited in like my hips and my butt, or just because that measurement kind of gets a little bigger. I can't wait to see like where everything like ends up as far as like my transition goes, because I am enjoying my transition tremendously for the most part. There are some rough points and some not real great things about it, but for the most part, I'm enjoying it. Sure, it sucks that like I lost my job and my relationship, but in that it kind of like helped me be who I was, be a little happier, and be who I truly am. Yeah, my relationship was probably like the biggest thing that like I lost, and I hate that portion of it, but there's nothing I can do. At least not now. Even if I detransition, it still wouldn't do anything, because she would always think that she would be the reason that I detransitioned, but it's okay. As of right now, I don't know if like I've really started dating again. I just focused on building a community where people could accept the male and female version of me, because a lot of times it is easier to boy mode, especially whenever like I'm getting dirty. I would just rather get dirty in my boy clothes instead of my girl clothes. That way I can not worry about messing up like a good blouse or one of my favorite pants or something like that. All I have to do is just quickly change and be like, yep, boy clothes are still getting paint on them, still getting grease, dirt, grime, you name it. Sex drive. My sex drive is very wonky, just because naturally I am demisexual. So initially in my transition, I would only be intimate with my partner, and for that to happen, that there would have to be an emotional connection there, because I didn't want to play like this like sex roulette or have like a series of like sexcapades. I had hoped that I would just find one person to spend the rest of my life with. And now in my transition, my demisexuality is more of a requirement. I cannot physically perform during intercourse unless I have that emotional connection, and a strong emotional connection at that. Which I know most people are like, oh, that's actually kind of cute. It means like you really have to, if someone knows that about you, you must really like that person, and they know that you must really like them. And sure, but sometimes the moments aren't great, and you still need to do it sometimes, like just to get, I guess, just to feel something. And that's where it like has its drawbacks, because it also affects like how your partner feels. Because if they don't feel like they can please you, it makes them feel like they're doing something wrong. And that's something I'm very familiar with, and something that like feels weird whenever like you're going through it or you're putting someone else through it. It's just awkward for everyone all around if that emotional connection isn't there for me. So there is that. My sex drive hasn't really decreased. It's just I have to be in a good, happy mood with a person who I have a strong emotional connection with. And sometimes it's hard, because some of the people are like, I do have like a strong emotional connection with like extremely good friends that I would date, I still have to like maintain boundaries and stuff, just because it's hard sometimes. And I don't know, and the only reason I say that is because I have had like a couple friends come on to me, and this I've really thought about, specifically because it made me feel a certain kind of way. One of my friends asked me to be their DD, and I went out with them. And I made sure that she was okay, she was safe, she wasn't gonna go home with anyone that had ill intentions or anything like that. And the bar closed down. I ended up taking them home. They had asked me to stay, and I said, you know what, sure, I'll stay. And they'd asked me, like, if I wanted to, like, sleep in the same bed, upon which, like, they only had one, and I was like, if it's not gonna make you uncomfortable, that's okay with me, but if it's gonna make you uncomfortable and make things weird, I would rather just sleep on the floor or something like that, because I have, like, a sleeping bag in my car. And they said, no, it's fine. So, we lay together in bed, and at some point they turned around and started making out with me, upon which I had to say, like, I think this is a bad idea, even though I wouldn't be more than happy to date this person. They were actually really cool about it the next day, and I don't think it's really, like, affected our friendship for the most part. I think this person's actually really cool and amazing at what they do. They can do some really good tattoos and stuff like that. And the whole point of me telling that story was to kind of get, like, why it made me feel a certain kind of way. And the reason is because this person is attracted to men with long hair and a lot of tattoos. I don't have a single tattoo. I have long hair, and I was femininely presenting that day. So immediately it made me feel some kind of way. Because knowing that about them, it made me feel like this person just saw me as a man. And it confused me a little bit. I was like, oh no, I don't understand. Like, I would 100% date you, but you like men with long hair and tattoos. You don't like transgender women. Granted, like, I could perform similarly to like the sex you're used to. It's just not gonna be the same, obviously. And they later told me, like, I'm not, like, straight, I'm bisexual, so I date both. Which did make me feel better, but immediately I was super confused, because I was like, oh no. I didn't know if, like, she was just being nice, or if she actually, like, saw me as, like, a woman whenever I got all dolled up and went out. Me being tired. I was my card. The reason for my cards. I look at my looking at my measurements. I guess just to kind of see like how far I've come. But me being tired is still a thing. I've been trying to wean myself off of of energy drinks and stuff like that. It's been going okay. I've been trying to get it done. And yeah, I don't think I've had too many energy drinks. I've just been drinking a little bit of coffee to kind of come off of the caffeine, which has helped a lot. And my muscle development. Over this year, I've noticed my muscles decrease a little bit. I've lost a lot of my muscle. I'm not as strong and I'm not as lean. I don't have the endurance I used to. I still have a lot of it, but not all of it. So there's definitely some differences in pre and post HRT me. But all the changes are actually really good. Oh, shoot. Specifically because the loss of muscle kind of helps feminize my body. At least the way I look at it, it makes me look a lot more feminine, which kind of helps me. This past week has been a very interesting one. This isn't my normal place to shoot, specifically because I'm not in South Carolina anymore. I'm even further south in Florida. This is where I'm moving to. Because I'm losing my job. And so I'm getting it a little bit more set up. Making sure the business I have down here is great and continuing on with that. Like I said earlier, the reason I did wear this outfit was because it was the same outfit that I wore in my first video so this is kind of like to pay tribute to that version of me. and essentially show everyone yes, I really have come a long way. This past week, specifically yesterday, I've wrecked my car. I've driven days and I've probably worked almost 160 hours these past couple days this past week because there's just been so much to do. With the loss of my car, it's kind of like the loss of the last piece of stability for me. Because my car was the only thing I hadn't lost when in the start of my transition. My divorce should be finalized within a couple days. I had to sell my house in order to invest that money into the business. I'm losing my job, and I've lost my car. I know it seems like I'm hopeless and homeless, but I assure you I do have a home, and there's hope. All I know is everything's gonna happen for a reason, and I just do what I can to make everyone as happy as I possibly can. It is kind of wild that it has been a full year. A full 365 days have passed. And in that 365 days, I've done some pretty wild things and am completely transformed. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know what's gonna become of this channel, but I do plan to continue these updates. Maybe not weekly, but because it was suggested more monthly. But I'm just not sure how far out I should go. I know there are changes that are being noticed, like up to 5 years, and I think 5 years of just a weekly update might be a bit much, but we'll see. I think that's enough for tonight. This is Brianna Sinclair, signing off. If you'd like to join me on my Blue Sky or my Discord, I would love to see y'all there. And with that being said,